Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Nice little early Wednesday evening over here from Chicago, Illinois, on this last day of July. By the way, my God, we got plenty to talk about with the higher timeframes, which will be closing tonight. Always like to follow up on the macro timeframes during a time like this, and plenty to actually follow up just on the lower timeframes as well, especially even from this morning's live stream. So, without further ado, I do want to keep this video a little bit more on the shorter side, which I know I always say, but I do a terrible job of it, and I completely understand that. So, fair enough. Anyways, as we fly on over beautiful downtown Chicago, my God, hold my hand, pray to Bull Jesus, or Goat Jesus, or Bear Jesus. But as always, let's get in the charts right here, right now, and I'll see you in there. So, teleportation initiated. But before we get into that, hey, as always, want to wish you a nice little happy day. Want to wish you the best of the best, the happiest of the happiest, as we say. As always, just want to wish you well, man. Because why fucking not, man? It's free. It's easy to do, and if everyone just wishes everyone else well and everyone has a good fucking day, then probably there's going to be more good days to come by. Anyways, without further ado, let's get in the live scene. Oh my God, flying off into the ethers of it all, and starting off with a little bit of proof of trade over here on Deribit. I'm still holding all these short call positions right here. I'm also short a few puts, so I've like a fucked up strangle and straddle going on. Not really, but I've actually covered all of these guys so far. So I actually really like what's going on right now, and with the resolution on the lower time frames that we saw on Bitcoin earlier today, I can actually commit to these positions now. So I actually have bought some of the spot underline against these, and this is why I like to say, hey, if you have been watching my, if you have been watching me play options recently, make sure that you understand exactly how I'm doing this and exactly what I'm doing within this whole context, so that because it needs to all flow together. So I'm never trading options, in and of their own. I'm always trading them against spot and futures. So I always have multiple legs going on right here, and I'd imagine that anyone following these trades is going to get massively fucking wrecked because both these 9,000 and 9,500 strike calls are in the money now, deep in the money, by the way. But that is design. That is by design. On my own part, I do want to point out my theta right now with 2 days left to go until expiration is literally 5,500. So remember, these options will only ever be worth parity at expiration, which expiration going to be this Friday. So that means that these 10,000 strike calls, they're only going to be worth $31 if we were to close right here. So even though they're still showing a premium of about almost $300, really realistically, what is their real value right now? $31 with about a day and a half left to go until expiration. Anyways, like I said, I actually have these paired up with the spot underline, which essentially they've just become a bunch of different covered calls. I'll get down to it right on over here. So I do have some long positions on. I'm long about 60 Bitcoins on my streamer account. With most of it done on these December futures, which is what I used to cover these guys. So there is an inherent premium on the price action. We see about a $300 premium right now on on spot. So when I put the long on these, it was actually only about $150 premium, and it was done at about $97.50. So it was when price action was about 9,600ish region. When we started to break out from the lower levels, as we saw yesterday, that's when I started to cover these guys because, well, as the analysis kind of suggested, the second that we break that level, well, it's likely that we go on much higher. And if we're going to go on much higher, then, well, it's time to cover those calls because they're going to go into the fucking money. So with that said, I am going to be holding this position for a little bit of time, at least until expiration, and then kind of decide what to do with it from there. But without further ado, let's actually get into the fucking charts right now. My God. And there she is, Bitcoin in all of her glory, just playing between, once again, the yellow 21 exponential moving average to the upside and the cyan 89 exponential moving average to the downside. This is very important here because I really like to synthesize things down and make them as clear as possible. And the medium time frame trajectory has not changed at all. Now we are once again at a potential pivot point, and looking at this right here, I mean, it does, to me, look like we actually want to break above the yellow 20 exponential moving average. But, of course, until we actually get a full-on breakage above or, closure above or below one of these two moving averages, I don't see a resolution on even the medium time frame perspective. But we're getting fucking close, man. And we can see very obviously and very unequivocally with the volume signature on this that it has that nice orderly drop-off in volume, which is saying that we're maturing within this whole formation. In fact, if we were to put a trend line on it, I'd imagine it's probably getting pretty much down to crunch time right here. Yeah, you can see we've only got so much space within this region. So the next major blast off in volume is likely to be a resolution of whatever formation that we're in. No matter how no matter what English word you want to use to define this one, this trend line right here, not the one to be going off of. By the way, that was just a lower time frame one, which yes did work. But of course, when we're looking at that, at the medium time frames, was that one appropriate? No, it was not. So I don't want to confuse anyone by having it in there. But still, the two major moving averages that are kind of conducting this whole consolidation are still very much valid and still very much in there, and we are going to have a chance to actually break this, I would imagine, over the next couple of days. Looks to me like it wants to break the upside, and yes, I am biased to the upside. Yes, I am a fucking permabull. I'm basically a fucking permabull. But the way that we're looking at right here, on all lower time frames below a weekly, I actually do. Sorry, no, make that a 3-day. All time frames below a 3-day, I actually do like, and I do think gives a try higher. However, the 3-day and the weekly will show a little bit to be desired. So I do want to represent both sides equally, because I do not think that it's just it's a done deal here. But I do think that we'd likely try some more upside. Why do I say that? Well, here's the thing: we're approaching a major resistance right now, a major resistance that actually will solve and will resolve the medium time frame perspective. This consolidation right here, and when we're at a critical point like this, I like to look at my momentum oscillators to which will likely suggest for if we're ready, if we're mature enough to actually break this or not. And right here, looking at the daily Stokes, we actually do see daily Stokes pointed up straight up to the sky right now, and I'd imagine that with any sort of a daily total close above 9,900, they should gain momentum to the upside. Which, if we if we go back in time and kind of look at the past, the past sort of crosses from this region, we can see just about 10th of June right here was the last time that we had a similar signature to this, and that led us all the way up from about $8,000 to $14,000. Am I suggesting that we're literally going to go on a $6,000 run right now? No, I'm not. But I am saying that we do have the momentum to likely break this. Not only that, but the cross the cross before that was running over here on the 30th of April. That led us out from this base at about 5,300 all the way to about 9,000 a couple weeks later. And then the time before that was basically getting our lows running over here on 7th of March before Bitcoin, just slowly but surely ground its way upwards and onwards, and basically broke out of 4,000 all the way to, well, it depends where you want to really mark it to, but I would say within about a week, 5,600. So pretty damn good moves all around. And once again, we approach a major, massive resistance, which to me is a very, 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 very important part just in general, because as long as we're below the yellow 20-month exponential moving average, I won't be inclined to hold any of those longs that I was showing earlier. I'll be quick to get out of them, right after expiration, or perhaps even before, if time demands. Just really depends where we kind of tick on this next one, which I do think likely goes to the upside. So I'll end up likely holding them. Most likely, I'll end up holding them. But hey, when we approach the yellow 20-month exponential moving average, remember, this is sort of my guide and governor for telling me if I can hold on to those medium or long-term longs. And so here's what I'm thinking right now, managing that position that I already have in. So again, understand where I'm coming from, my perspectives, and all the different moving parts kind of that goes into constructing this position. But looking at this right here, if we actually do take out the yellow 20-month exponential moving average, if we actually do close a daily total above there, I will end up holding that spot long position, let the options expire. Most of them going to expire, sorry, not most of them, but the 10,500 strike probably does expire worthless, but the other ones will be in the money, so I will be a little bit net long, maybe like net long 10 delta, but at the end of the day, I'll actually be happy to hold that long, as long as we're above the yellow 20-month exponential moving average on the daily. So you can see that we're giving it another test right here. Ever since we've lost it on 14th of July, it's been a fucking it's been terrible for Bitcoin. As you can see, it was basically just a major area to be a seller on. And right now, Bitcoin is, where did Bitcoin wake up to? Waked up to the 20-month exponential moving average. So we have a very obvious area of kind of action, essentially a major pivot on the market. If Bitcoin gets above it, that's chain of behavior that resolves this consolidation to the upside and has carry on over into the higher time frames, which likely, if we get onto it later, a little bit later, probably suggests move back up to about 11,800, 12,000-ish region over time, not immediately or anything like that, but over time, because we're looking at a daily right here. And not only that, but we do see daily RSI regaining the exponential moving average right here as well, and also getting out of the bearish control zone. So I like both these things, and matching those two things up, usually we actually will see the momentum needed to actually break through in a region like this. But of course, until price action actually confirms, it's not it's technically not to be fucked with. But if we actually just extrapolate this a little bit more to the 12-hour, the 12-hour has had some pretty damn good action as well. And actually, let me just put on all of these major moving averages right here. There we go. Okay, beautiful. And 12-hour actually bottomed out on Stokes at the same time as daily, and we very, 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 very rarely see this signature, but we saw them basically both bottom out a couple days ago, and then turn to the upside as well, a couple days ago, or sorry, yesterday. And then guess what? We have this nice trend line forming right here, which would actually suggest that we have a little bit more room to the upside. And that would kind of cap us right around the edge of the, sorry, not the edge, but in the middle of the neutral zone. So I actually do like that. And that would say that if we break above this region right here, it would be a change of behavior. And, just naturally speaking, we'd likely make our way into the bullish control zone. So both those things follow through with each other. And more importantly, we see the confluence between the 12-hour and the daily, which is exactly what we want to see. Half that time frame, plus, and then the time frame that we're actually looking at, and then typically double that time frame is what I want to see all line up for the best trades. Not only that, but we do see 12-hour. Well, I was going to say 12-hour jewel had a decent signal. Nope, it didn't. It didn't have a decent signal. It was the 4-hour jewel that actually got the low thus far. But same thing on 12-hour RSI. We regain the exponential and just zoom right out of that, right out of the bearish control zone. And I believe we actually resolved this guy as well. You see this nice trend line right here forming on RSI, getting taken out to the upside. So I do like all of those things confluent with each other. Now let's go check out the 2-day and see if this guy matches up as well. And guess what? Guess where the 2-day is? 2-day is way down here. Now, granted, has not crossed the upside, to be fair, which is still, is a little bit of a ticking time bomb, a little bit of a variable here. We actually do see this trend line forming right here, as we spoke about a couple days ago. And this trend line coming in about where price action is. So I would expect to see a little bit of counter trend pressure at the very least, kind of respect this trend line. And more importantly, we do see a weak reaction to the downside regardless. So I would say that this is likely opening up the doors for at least a little bit of a try higher. And you can imagine that if the daily and the 12-hour get any sort of momentum going on these next couple ticks, that will have carry on over into the 2-day. So if all those time frames start going together, that we just haven't seen all those time frames go together in quite some time. So let me actually kind of bring up and kind of backtrack the last time that we saw them all going at the same time. And I believe it was out of this $8,000 base right here. We saw 2-day Stokes up. This was 12th of June. What about daily? I think daily crossed up at 10th of June. Come on, daily, where it is? Yeah, 10th of June was right here, and then 12-hour was do we see? Yeah, it was 6th or 7th of June. So you can see them all go one by one. So it is to be expected that the 12-hour goes first, and the daily, then the 2-day, naturally speaking. But all of them going up at the same time from the same area. That's really what I'm getting at right now. All of them going up at the same time from the same area. We very, 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 very rarely see all of those line up. It's like the stars aligning essentially. So I would say that, if we do get the carry on over into the 2-day, it's going to likely imply that we already broke the daily 21, and that's just going to carry it on a little bit more and would really make me feel a lot more comfortable targeting to move towards about 11,000. We did have, what was it? Yeah, we did have this formation going on right here on CMEs. Remember, this nice little descending triangle, which, yes, more often than not, these will break out to the downside. Statistically speaking, it will break out to the downside, certainly more often than not. But on this here example, we actually broke out to the upside, and this actually would imply move back above, back around 11,000 bucks. Now there is about $150 premium on CMEs right now, so that's that kind of line up with Bitcoin maybe back around 10.8 or 10.9 region, and more importantly, actually don't put too much weight on this measure move. I actually think that this is one of the times to be a little bit more conservative, and I would say that we have resistance right here and resistance right here. But more importantly, while we are on the 4-hour, I think it is worth mentioning that the 4-hour jewel was the big signal on the actual low a couple days ago, right on over here, coming out of this base, just actually timing this buy to the upside, which we spoke about for the last couple days, that the 4-hour jewel was lining up for a buy signal, and that's kind of why I was leaning to the upside here. And I'd pretty much stick with that as Bitcoin backs off back below 10,000 once again. 4 digits once again. My God, terrible. No, just kidding. It's all good. We're approaching a major resistance, as we spoke. Not a major resistance, but we're approaching a resistance as we spoke about during this morning's video. And Bitcoin's likely to back off this, off this area. So to go into the lower time frames now, we do see that the blue box has been tapped. So the expected move was met. Can also kind of interpret this as a rejection off the purple 200 exponential moving average on the 4-hour, which of course is going to be massively potent right now because we still do have the death cross available on the 4-hour, and of course the 200 exponential going to be massively a part of that death cross. And so as long as we're living below it, it's always going to be a little bit of a topic of conversation, like do we really want to play this out more or not? But I'll get into that in just a second. But for now, the very low time frame range would be right here between about 9,900 and that blue box that we just wicked off to the overhead, about 10,150. While I don't necessarily think that it happens, if we actually were to break below 9,900 and close an hourly total below there, I'd be looking for another move back down towards 97-ish region, and start to base out right around here once again. But I'm actually not really looking for that to happen. Not that it matters what I think is going to happen. It's, it only matters, how price action reacts around these regions. And that's, that's how you can actually trade around them. Again, I don't trade my opinion. I trade technical analysis. More importantly, if we do break above this blue box territory right here, which is about 10,150, and it goes all the way to 10.2 essentially, which is going to be confluent with the daily 21, by the way, which you already saw. Then if we could break above there, then that would be a resolution on this formation. And I'd be looking for a move likely up here towards, 10.6 to 10.8 region. So, another like $600, $700, $800 move. So pretty damn good and something worth trading for, at least in my opinion. But yeah, looking at this right here, backing off this blue box, not a death sentence or anything like that. These markets, they take their time. I feel like a lot of people were really spoiled during the last 6 months when Bitcoin was just literally fucking zooming to the upside each and every day. And now when Bitcoin goes into a massive sideways consolidation, it's like people forget that can happen. But hey, remember that was pretty much all of January and February, and in most of 2018. When we got stuck at like the 6,000 level for so long. Anyways, while we are here on the death cross, I do want to mention this for a second. So I'm going to just put on the death cross moving averages, and I won't go through the whole spiel on this one because I've done it so many times. And if you want to, if you want the full on spiel with all the examples and whatnot, then definitely go over and check out the last video that I uploaded on the long-term analysis playlist, which I upload every Sunday. And then pretty much every video that I did last week as well. I'll go through it. In this one, I'll just talk about it. I won't actually do the calculations, but I've gone through all of the death crosses on the 4-hour with regards to the last prior upwards markets. Because remember, Bitcoin is still in a macro uptrend. There's nothing really changing here. It's still pretty damn good. That ain't changing until we actually like really get back down below like 7,600 or something. But right here, you can see that Bitcoin does have the death cross going on. We got the green 50 exponential moving average to the downside of the purple 200 exponential moving average right here, which in the history of Bitcoin during an overall upwards trend, these typically from death cross to golden cross, I've found on average to take about 2 weeks. At the shortest amount of time, it's taken about a week. At the longest amount of time, it's taken about a month. And typically they resolve themselves around the 2-week mark, 10 days to about 2 weeks essentially. And right now we actually did get the death cross on the 22nd of July. And pretty much it's the first day of August now. So that was about 10 days ago now. So 10 days ago is getting certainly closer to the 2-week average of that period. And not only that, but look at this. We've actually broken above the green 50 exponential moving average, just today, which looks like it wants to maintain. And I'd like to see this area come back, and test it as support. But assuming that does hold up as support, then that's going to be a damn good signal that we actually are ready to rally off the green 50. And if we're rallying off the green 50 and using it as support, then these guys are going to naturally converge on each other, which is going to tell you that the trend, this death cross is weakening to the downside, obviously. And well, what happens after that? The ticking time bomb typically goes off, and we'll actually start to work our way back above the purple 200 exponential moving average, which of course that's going to be needed in order to get a golden cross. And the golden cross is going to be the next big signal for myself to kind of be, put on and hold long-term longs, or sorry, maybe not long-term, but medium and long-term longs. So it's going to be a couple steps that we're looking at here. The 10,150 area, obviously very important. Then the daily 21, which is essentially confluent with it. So they're one and the same is what I'm saying. They're one and the same. And then we have the death cross as well. So whichever, as those things happen, I'll likely just start to put on, and compile positions over time. But again, it's going to take its time. And remember, this typically takes about 2 weeks, and we're about 10 days into this one right now. As far as damage done on these crosses, that's highly variable. A lot of the time, not a lot of the time, but in some cases, we actually do see the low put in before we actually get the death cross in the in the past history. In some cases we see it like happen literally right after we have the death cross, which you wouldn't really expect either. And in some cases we do some serious damage to price action, like almost to the tune of about 20% is what I've seen at most. So if we actually did take a worst case scenario from this region and shaved off 20% off this price action, that would point us back down to about 83, 8400, 8500, which everyone has their eyes on, right? Right now, everyone has their fucking eyes on the 8,500-ish level because the Gap Boys, what you gonna do when they come for you? Well, they're going to get wrecked before they come for you. That's the thing. They've been waiting for good old Gap play for the past 2 months, and Gap Boys, unfortunately, in trouble right now. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. I think a lot of people are getting a very expensive lesson in how to trade gaps 101. It's like, first off, you don't fucking try to trade the gap before it actually happens. That's a damn good first step. Holy shit. Jesus Christ, man. Anyways, it is a structural area to be aware of going forwards here. Yes, absolutely. And like I said, in my experience in trading traditional markets as a professional trader, professional market maker, authorized trader with Series 56 on the floor of Not Stock Exchange ARCA, I've literally seen every last little gap. I believe that I've seen every last little gap filled, over a longitudinal period of time. So in some cases, that actually means 2 years, 2 to 5 years in some cases. But they typically, not typically, but they've always gotten filled on regular massive traditional markets. I can't say the same thing for I can't say the same thing for like OTC. I can't say the same thing for other world markets. I can only speak directly towards U.S. markets, which I have traded myself. But yes, they do get filled over time. Anyways, this 8,500 region obviously going to become a point of a point of interest going forwards here if we don't fill it on this actual drive to the downside, which it doesn't look like it wants to fill right now. I mean, looking at CMEs, this looks pretty good actually. CMEs look like they want a little bit of up here. Wait, where are all these guys? There you go. Bring them back on. Let's bring all of our exponential moving average friends back on, and these disgusting simple moving averages. But you can see right here that the daily did reclaim the red 10 simple. So I actually do kind of like what's going on here. Now, yes, we of course have not taken out the yellow 21 just yet, but one step at a time. And when we're kind of coming into a sideways consolidation like this, you can imagine that it's going to take its time to really shake everyone out. But same thing here. Daily Stokes having a fresh cross the upside confirmed as of today. We do see daily RSI fighting for the exponential, actually rejecting the bearish control zone as well, and just oscillating between the bullish control zone and the neutral zone, which I would say implies that this consolidation is bullish in nature. Not only that, I think this is a better point on spot charts, but we do see on daily spot that that Bitcoin historical volatility percentile has actually come down below this moving average for the first time in a very long time. Just as of about a week ago now. But you can see that that's really showing the changing tides of Bitcoin. Look at where this happened right on over here. This is where we really started to kind of reaccumulate once again. So I do think that all those things really go together and does naturally line up with the whole as one massive consolidation that's slowly but surely kind of getting resolved right now. And I would say that on the shorter and medium time frames, we probably do get a little bit of upside here. Of course, macro I'm still bullish on. Longer term, do we get a move back down to about 8,500? Do we do we accelerate over to 12,000 first? That I have a little bit less of an opinion on. I would lean to the upside here just because, well, it's an overall upwards market, and we are showing a lot more bullish indications right now. So I would say it's probably a little bit more likely, maybe back to 11,000 first. I'd like to take it one step at a time. Remember, these things take their time, and I don't. And my biggest fear is like when it's not my biggest fear, but it's like this is my biggest fear. Jesus Christ, you need a more hard life is what you need. No, but one of the things that I fear is that when I say I'd be looking at a price target of like that, if and when we actually do take out the yellow 21. Then someone hears and they're like, instantly, as soon as we take it out, we're going straight there. It's like, no, well, it's still going to take a little bit of time, but the trajectory is set, and that's where I can start to align my biases. Anyways, okay, let's go check out. I think we've spoken enough about CMEs, but let's talk a little bit about the higher time frames here. So while I've been presenting a little bit of a rosy picture, not like O'Donnell, but a little bit of a rosy picture on the not lower time frames, but any lower time frame below about a 3-day. The 3-day and the weekly do show a little bit of a different picture right now. So first and foremost, let's start off with the weekly. And last week we actually did take out the red 10 simple moving average to the downside on the weekly for the first time, literally since early February, which is basically where we switched up the trend to the upside. And so it said that is a change of behavior from this perspective, and it actually would imply a price target down where towards the yellow 21 on the weekly, which is where right around 8,300. So I don't think that the Gap Boys are necessarily going to be out of luck just yet. It certainly is still a consideration right here. We also do see weekly Stokes to the downside, although they are going to be headed down towards the edge of the bullish control zone. So actually would be looking for bulls to provide a little bit of a fight right around this region. And not only that, we actually do see weekly RSI providing a little bit of bearish divergence here. Not anything too crazy, but it is present. And we did get rejected by the exponential and also kicked out of the bullish control zone right here as well. So those things would be a little bit more downwards leaning, but not death sentence in and of themselves. And a very small amount of bearish divergence like that, I would not say typically incites a test of the 21. It does incite a test of the red 10 simple, but I'm a little bit at a loss here because we are breaking the red 10 simple very obviously, and the 21 is kind of the next one in line, and more importantly, the 21 is actually structurally correct as well. So if we were going to test it, it would actually likely happen sooner rather than later, to be fair. Not only that, but looking at the 21 right here, Bitcoin does have a lovely history of actually playing off it long term. As you can see, Bitcoin loves to test it, as major support on these down moves during a general upwards market, and vice versa for a downwards market right on over here, basically putting in the tops along the yellow 21. You do see that it does have some play off the red 10 simple as well, but it's not as precise. And for the major massive areas, it's definitely the 21 that actually gets it, both in this run to the upside right here and this one right here. And more recently, we actually regained it, on the first major massive girthy green dildo right on over here, but haven't tested it since. And I always like to say this, that the 21 on the the weekly is a very healthy a very healthy target for a retracement, during your major massive weekly move. So it is a little bit of an anomaly here to see Bitcoin not test it for this long. I mean, shit, you can even see, historically speaking, Bitcoin likes to test it, every couple months. It looks like every 2 to 3 months. And right now we haven't tested it in literally since what was this, April. I mean, this isn't really even a test. This is just a fucking bulldozer juggernaut right through. So it's been what April, May, June, July, 4 months now. So we're kind of, we are kind of spending a lot of time away from there. And I would say that is a little bit of an anomaly, historically speaking, for Bitcoin. And there's also something that's a little bit more damning, in my opinion, which does make, it's really the only thing that makes me hesitant to be bullish right now. Even though macro, I can still be bullish, obviously, and even in short term, I can be comfortably bullish as well. But this is the one thing that's really kind of holding me back on the long term. And it has to do with the weekly jewel, which has had a perfect 10 out of 10 signal for a test down to the 21 exponential moving average when we get this signature that I'm about to describe right now. Every time that we get the light blue oscillator in the critical zone above this 80 marker where my cursor currently is right now, and then we flash red in the background and then get a negative slope on that same light blue oscillator, that is when each and every time in the history of Bitcoin we have actually come down and tested the 21 exponential moving average, typically almost instantaneously right after that happens. I mean, in these first few examples, it's literally like the next week after we get that signal. These three right here, this one about a month, to be fair, and then on the last major rally to the upside, we do see plenty more right on over here. So it's a total of 10, and each and every time we actually have gotten that signal, we do get a test down to the 21. Now, if we go into this area right here, we do see that we have the same sort of signal. In fact, not only that, we're actually breaking the pink as well along the way, which is kind of like a fourth ingredient of this, which just lines up, with even a little bit more intense dumps is what it's actually suggested in the past. So my point is that if we've seen this same signature 10 out of 10 times produce the exact same result, which is pretty fucking rare that you see something like that, have that sort of a hit rate, going for 11 out of 10, man, that is a statistic I really do not want to be going against. I'll put it that way. And yes, pairing that up with the way that the weekly closed below the red 10 symbol, and then also extrapolating this into the 3-day, which we actually, the 3-day doesn't look too hot here. I mean, to be quite serious, the 3-day is also a chart that really holds me back, kind of retards my bullishness in the more scientific sense, to be fair, not in the I don't know, recreational sense. I don't know what's the word for that. But my point is that, hey, we actually did close below the yellow 20 exponential moving average on the last 3-day diddle. In fact, we put in a bearish engulfing along the way. And so far right now, we actually haven't even, we haven't even taken out the last high. As I search, what the fuck did I just drop? Whoops. Ha! Sorry. I was holding some in my hands, didn't even know what it was, and then dropped it. And it appears it's some sort of a contraption that, I don't know. Anyways, not important. Jesus Christ, man. Get your head in the game, Krown. And also talk to yourself in the third person so you sound like an even bigger moron. My God, man. How fucking moronic can I get? But anyways, my point is that on this 3-day dildo, why it actually has been looking pretty damn good, it still leaves a little bit to be desired. But these fears of mine will be qualmed and will be qualmed. Wow. What the fuck, man? Will be calmed if we do it, if we actually take out the high of this last prior dildo right here at about 10,235 on stamp. If we can do that, I'd kind of concede the 3-day and say, yeah, it looks fine to me, and I'd be generally looking for some more upside on here. Not only that, but momentum oscillators are actually okay. We do see the 3-day SOS getting into the bearish control zone, but remember, we're gonna have the interplay between the 12-hour, the daily, and then the 2-day, and obviously what's next after that, then the 3-day. But first things first, we gotta get the 2-day. So I would say the next sort of insightful piece of price action is if we get the 2-day to cross the upside, that's going to likely have carry on over into the 3-day and resolve the 3-day, and then we could probably play out a little bit more upside in the medium and long-term time frames. And then the weekly will still be a consideration, but of course we don't set in a new weekly until 8 p.m. on Sunday. So again, 8 p.m. Eastern time, I should say, on Sunday. So again, it's gonna take its time. Naturally, on the on the 3-day, do we see anything about the RSI? We've just come down to test the neutral zone right here, bouncing off it. I don't see any sort of a major issue with that. I'm also not getting a huge amount out of this right here. We're just also between the bullish control zone and the neutral zone, which would imply overall better things. But I really don't like the last close of the of the 3-day right below the yellow 21 right there. That does offer a little bit of problems. So the way to trade this one is a little bit sloppy, but this is the right way to do it. If we take out the high of the prior 3-day dildo at 10,235, then yes, I'd be looking for a move, extremely likely back here to 10.5. I mean, that's extremely likely, but more importantly, probably back up to about 11,000ish region, maybe 11,001. Now, if we take out the low of the prior 3-day dildo, then yes, I'd be looking for that move into the mid to low 8,000s, which of course, I didn't show everything that's pointing down there, but there are a few more things if I want to like really dig deep into it. If we go over here to my Finex chart, we can see I already have a Fibonacci kind of plot on this one, and we do see that the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement is coming in right around 8,500. Not only that, but if you are looking at this as a if you were looking at this as a descending triangle, which is actually it's no longer, but what people were looking at before is this as a descending triangle, which was correct. It is correct. It's just they don't always break out to the downside. I mean, statistically speaking, they don't. I mean, there is a margin of error there. Absolutely. Like I said, I've seen plenty of times that they break out to the upside, and we're seeing that exactly right here. But the measure move on this triangle would have been pointing to the downside. So my point is that yes, they are still present, and yes, it is a topic of conversation, but I do think that it's significantly lessened its grip with the advent of of the price action from this morning. Actually, we got the breakout that we spoke about yesterday, and now we're getting the follow through after a little bit of a pullback. So I actually do like what's going on, and I do think that and for myself, I'm obviously fucking bullish right now. Anyways, if we go down to the to like the very crack trader timeframes, like an hourly, we actually do see a little bit of bearish divergence here. I believe, 1-2 price action, I believe, closed a little bit, slightly higher right here. So we are playing out a little bit of bearish divergence here. Maybe does come back down and test around 9,900. I don't have a strong opinion about this, but I would say that I'm short-term bullish as long as we're above 9,900. This pullback to be determined. I don't really have a strong opinion on it right now. Kind of to me looks like it does want to come back down to test 99, but we already did get that wick down to 99.50, so $50 away. I mean, it's still hard to hate right here. We're still holding up above the red 10 simple, and that's indicative of a strong trend right there. Anyways, okay, cool. So we spoke about that. We covered the low time frames. We covered the higher time frames. We covered the medium time frames. I think we've got all of that. Let's go check out GBTC, see how it closed for the day. I'm going to imagine probably pretty good. Yeah, closing the day around its highs, actually. And GBTC, I think, is very interesting right here because GBTC did trade forwards ahead of spot, both at the end of last week to the downside, right on over here, and then again today to the upside right on over here. In fact, we saw the initial move yesterday to the upside start to populate as well. So it's actually kind of regained its reins as as kind of the leader. If you're not familiar with it, GBTC was leading pretty much during all 2018. Then during like the beginning of 2019 was pretty much a non-event, and then recently, once again, it seems to me like it's actually foreshadowing some moves here. So what are we seeing right now? We actually see GBTC right at the same level that it was during 18th of July. Where was spot price action during 18th of July? Let's go check it out. 18th of July was maybe right here. Whoa, holy shit! It was actually all the way. Oh my god. It's actually all the way back here. Bitcoin was about 10,600ish region. Sorry, I'm on an hourly. That's why it looks like it's so far back. Yeah, it's right around here. This horizontal right here. So essentially for this next zone, I'd kind of plot it right here, and I'm gonna put a blue box in here. So what I can say is yes, GBTC would suggest that we actually do work our way into this region, but I wouldn't be trading for this until we actually close at least like a 2-hour dildo above the top of this blue box right here at about 10,150 to 10,200. Then yes, I'd be targeting to move up here as dictated by GBTC, which actually looks pretty damn strong. And again, the GBTC did close well above, I believe, the yellow 21 exponential moving average on the daily. Let's actually go confirm this really quick. And did we do it? It's like, did we do it? It's like, I didn't do shit, man. I don't even trade GBTC. But yeah, actually both opened and closed above, which is quite impressive. So that is a change of behavior, and this would suggest that we do see this break to the upside on spot, which I'd kind of align with. So yeah, I kind of like what I'm seeing here, to put it quite bluntly. Let's see, how did weekly on GBTC close? Look at this. Oh man, I'm glad I looked at this one. Holy shit. Check this out. We have a bullish engulfing on the weekly right now for GBTC. Could it be that we're actually going to do a bullish engulfing on the weekly on Bitcoin, and that completely calms all of my nerves about the about the higher time frame perspective? Actually, this kind of would suggest so. It has been a damn good indication recently. This is very impressive price action right here. Very, very impressive price action right here. So I would say that is that kind of soothes my fears about the higher time frames. The lower time frames I think are kind of obviously bullish. Higher time frames still leave a little bit to be desired on spot. But GBTC taking this next leg up is an overall good thing as I reach for my water, because man, I am thirsty as fuck right now. Oh, extra salt on my ground beef today. My God, man. So damn good. So damn good. Anyways, okay. Cool. We spoke all about that. All right. What else do I want to speak about? Let's go check out the crypto fear and greed index. We're taking out a 31. I just want to speak about this very briefly right here because we did see yesterday it come all the way down to about like an 18 or 22, somewhere in this region right here. Just the lows, basically where we put in lows during 2018, by the way, which was an overall bearish market. So naturally the sentiments were more fearful to begin with, and we actually spent a lot of time within this region, but typically would put in lows around this region. Ooh, ground beef coming up. Anyways, we're kind of doing the same thing right on over here. So that's also why I was saying yesterday, I don't think that Bitcoin's going to break down right here. Sentiment being this bearish makes it very difficult to go down, especially when we actually had an event going on yesterday with the, with crypto regulations being talked about in the U.S. government. So to me, that's a classic signal, really. When the sentiment is very, very negative, as you have a massive event like that, and things are already down on major supports with all of your momentum oscillators kind of like at the bottom already, typically things don't break down when that happens because like expectation is being priced in. The expectation is a negative result. And so that means, psychologically speaking, that when you are expecting something negative and the negative expectation is met, well, it's already been priced in. So, the damage has already been done. Or the expectation is not met, and what happens after that? Oh, so it wasn't as bad as what we thought it was going to be. The world's not ending, of course, fucking not ending, and and everything's going to be rosy and rainbows and all that good shit and fucking cat poops and whatnot. Well, let's go up from that, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. So again, I really do like to match those two things up because they do seem to have a lot of interplay with each other. And a sentiment gauge like this matched up with price action, that's where the magic can happen. And we certainly see an example of that yesterday. So yeah, going back into it right on over here. In some cases, yes, the result of the event can be even worse than the expectations, but very rarely, because human expectations are so. We're so fucked is really what it comes down to, but we won't get in that conversation today. Let's go check out expected moves chart, and look at this, baby. Expected moves getting it fucking phenomenally. My God, Ballypore, you fucking genius, you. Look at this, baby. Look at this first standard deviation of the expected moves range, getting it absolutely perfectly. The bottom of the range at around $10,000. Sorry, 99. What is this? Sorry, $9,600. Getting the low of yesterday, and the in the top of the first standard deviation right around 10,150ish region, getting the top of today's region, and of course that lines up with all of our technicals, and that's exactly what you want to see. Exactly what you want to fucking see. So I really like this, and I think that we will be able to release this probably soon. So I'm quite happy about that. But still need to tighten up a few nuts and bolts. But I think it's almost there. And as I play with it more and more, I'm finding more and more ways, more and more unique ways to use it, especially with options. If you know how to trade options and you have access to this indicator, holy shit, it's fucking amazing. Anyways, okay, cool. Spoke about all of that. Let's go check out the other top shitcoins in this market, see if they're following or leading. And we see Mrs. Litecoin. Oh, man! Mrs. Litecoin, powerful, girthy girl. My God, you are thick AF, and also you deserve a profile on the front of the swimsuit issue of Sports Illustrated. What the fuck it is? Is that a thing? Is that a thing? On the plus size, on the plus size models. No, just kidding. This is a beautiful woman. She deserves respect. And look at this. She's actually gonna get a chance to close above the yellow 21 on the daily. This would be a big deal to me because we haven't seen Bitcoin do that just yet. And I do think that Litecoin might be leading. I actually do think that Litecoin might be leading as Litecoin's made the move first, and it's made the move more aggressively as well, and just more violently as well too. So if Mrs. Litecoin can close this next daily above, which is going to be closing next less than 1 hour, about 58 minutes. So hopefully I can get this video out before then. If it can close anywhere above $97.50, I would be looking for this to ultimately charge higher. Really more medium and long term, probably back up here towards like 115, 120ish region, but more short term, probably come back up and test this last little local high right around 103 region. So I'd likely be looking at at a price range back above $100. Do you think that this is shaping up to be okay here? What about 3-day? How's a 3-day looking like? 3-day looks okay. Again, it's not perfect. We're still being beholden by the white 200 simple. Do we close this one tonight? We do not. So unfortunately, we won't get resolution on this. But this, you can see a very obvious base of operations going on right here, and natural target going to be somewhere right around 103 to 104 on a 3-day trajectory. Anyways, as far as I can see, I'd be short-term bullish on Mrs. Litecoin as long as she's above the purple 200 exponential moving average here. This is why I've been saying, I'm not looking to get short on this one. Not that I trade this one to begin with. As long as we're above the 200 exponential moving average, just one of those rules. You see all these wicks below this region right here. That's a clear and obvious sign that it's getting accumulated. Yeah, about 104. If we can actually maintain above the yellow 21. What about Mr. Butyrol at 216.40 cents? You can see it looks like a sick version of Mrs. Litecoin. Mrs. Litecoin's all the way above here, above the 21, whereas Mr. Butyrol actually all the way below even the 200 exponential moving average. So it's certainly not leading. It's more of a follower right here. But we do have, I'm going to imagine on a lower time frame, maybe some sort of a formation going on right here. Yeah, we do. And look at that. We're kind of still working on this triangle. So Bitcoin and Litecoin have resolved these triangles to the upside. Mr. Butyrol has not. But if we actually do resolve this to the upside, as the others have, which kind of would imply that this one follows through as well, then it would apply a move towards 240. But technically speaking, I need to see a 4-hour digital close above 221 first before that becomes a legitimate possibility. And then of course you're gonna have a resistance right around here, right around 232 region. By the same token, if we actually reverse from here and head back down below 207, well, get ready for some 180 prices once again, because that'll look nasty. But again, likely to go with the rest, and in Litecoin and Bitcoin looking like they have an air of bullishness right now on the lower time frames. I shouldn't say lower time frames. Lower time frames actually look like they want to pull back a little bit, but like the shorter term trajectory still a little bit upside biased. I'd say that does carry on over into Mr. Butyrol as well. Let's see. What else do we got? Let's go check out the Bitcoin dominance chart really quick. And then I forgot to look at the Bitcoin monthly, which, Jesus Christ, I speak all about it and then don't say anything about it. Yeah, so Bitcoin dominance heading back up just like we said, just like we said was likely to happen. And again, I don't say this to sound arrogant. That actually did sound a little bit arrogant, what I just said. That's not my intention right here. It's just as a demonstration purpose, because most alts are going to have an inverse effect with the Bitcoin dominance chart naturally, right? So that's why it's so impressive when an alt is moving with Bitcoin versus Satoshis. That's pretty damn impressive when an altcoin can do that. But this chart would suggest that most alts are going to are either getting hurt today or they're about to get hurt a little bit. And I do think that this has a little bit more upside, likely towards about 68%, maybe 68.5%, somewhere right around here. At that point in time, I would look for this to actually come back down again. So I do think that alts get hurt a little bit in the lower time frames right now. I think they get hurt a little bit more in the medium time frames, and then longer term, I actually do think that they that they get another reprieve when the Bitcoin dominance probably comes down to about 65 to 65.5%, somewhere right around this region, and then I'd be looking for it to actually explode to the upside. So I am macro term bullish, which would imply that longer term they are going to get hurt. But for now, I actually think that this one's going to be short-lived, and then alts get to rally once again, and then the real major move happens. But hey, this still, could it explode from here? Possible. I mean, let's actually look at the monthly. The monthly is going to be closing tonight, in just an hour, actually, less than an hour. So how are we actually going to be shaping this baby up? I mean, it looks pretty good to me. It looks really good to me, to be fair. And over the next few months, I actually do think that we get above 70, like 72.5% most likely. Anyway, speaking of the monthly, let's go back to Bitcoin before we wrap this bitch up and smack this bitch up. No, just kidding. Don't do that. Just seriously, don't do that. It's like, never mind. Anyways, monthly Stokes massively painfully erect right now. We do see the same sort of signature that we saw coming out of the last bear market. You do see that once we hit this level, which is actually outside of the bearish control zone, so we're actually going to be getting out of the bearish control zone for the first time in over a year, literally over a year now. And that was accurately where the last bear market cycle really started to gain momentum to the upside. So that was right on over here during November, December. So it was getting this base out. So literally the next few years of price action straight to the upside, exactly what I want to to see. Not only that, but monthly RSI actually did get rejected by the bullish control zone here, similar to what we saw from the same area, a little bit earlier in the same area of the last prior market switcheroo. But look at this, once it came back down to the exponential, it got picked up immediately, and so Bitcoin, though this would actually be a little more bearish for the medium term trajectory, because it would suggest that the next tick is down, and then we get picked up by the exponential, and then give a legitimate try to the upside. But again, long term, it would kind of lay the foundation more importantly. And then of course we got monthly jewel right here as well, which is this a buy signal? Technically yes. Is it a strong one? No, not really. Is it a decent one? It's okay. But it's kind of going in that direction. Anyways, more importantly, because it is the end of the month, let's actually check out the accumulation distribution indicator. I'm gonna imagine that this one is still looking fine, but let's just do the monthly rounds on this one, and we do see the monthly accumulation distribution indicator actually headed north right now. So I only care about slope on this one. It pretty much got the low in 2019 to the T in January, and didn't get the high of 2018 to the T, but did switch around the slope on this guy in March, so getting the 12,000 high bull trap essentially. So again, this has been pretty damn good to me, and I would say that this would suggest that we'd likely have another month of up here, as I do think that looks relatively healthy. Of course, looking at the monthly Trollinger bands as well, we do see a couple things here. Yes, this is to be interpreted as a rejection of the top Trollinger band. Now, is this a death sentence? No, and the reason why I say it's not a death sentence is this is not the high of this. This looks like a consolidation dildo to me, like basically profit taking after the real run, which was the month prior in June, right over here. So with regards to what we're looking at right here, I actually do look at this as just consolidation and not necessarily rejection. If we were rejecting, then yes, I'd probably be looking for another test back down here towards about 7,400, just basically the 20 simple moon average on this baby. But as you can see right now, the fact is that we're actually consolidating between that area and also the top Trollinger band, which would imply a more bullish resolution to this, and we are a lot more close to the top Trollinger band, which anytime that we close near the top Trollinger band on these babies, it does offer up the chance for a signature like we saw, well, basically right on over here, where it sets you up to actually push the top Trollinger bands. That's when you get a very, 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 very strong trend. So actually look at this as likely a positive thing, especially matched up with our with our momentum oscillators. So I actually kind of like that. Anyways, back on to Bitcoin. Back on a lower time frame, I think it's time to wrap this bitch up. Take off these disgusting Trollinger bands. You're gross. And go back onto these beautiful exponentials and put on the drawing tools as well. From a very low time frame perspective, as long as 9,900 holds, I think that this is just a nice little consolidation right here. Looks like a little bit of an ascending triangle, and probably does give another test towards our blue box territory right here. But I'm not really bullish for the next move until we actually break and fully close above this blue box territory at about 10,150 to 10,200. Then I could target a move up here towards about 10.7 to about 10.8 region. This area also right here is not just going to be confluent with this blue box territory, but also the daily 21, which is kind of my metric for holding medium and long-term longs. And then also, of course, the 4-hour 200 exponential moving average right here, which is kind of a governor for the death cross that's going on. And of course, the second that we get back above there, these are going to rapidly collapse on each other, and we'll get the golden cross, and that's really what I'm waiting for on the next one. So all those things do matter, of course. Could it also be that this is a massive fake out and we actually break 9,900 to the downside and head back down to 94? I'd say that that's a little bit further away. If we actually do break 9,900, I would look for the next level of 9,750 to hold, and we'll probably just grind out this area a little bit more. I would only get bearish. Bearish is not even the right term, but I'd only be looking for significant downside into like the 8,000s essentially if we break this blue box territory right here, which, as you can see, for the last few days, we gave plenty of tries. It just didn't fucking happen. Doesn't mean that it can't, but for right now, I think the momentum is more likely to bring us to the upside. So I'd kind of stick with what I said yesterday. We're already seeing what we're already seeing yesterday play out with our first target being hit. I do think that a little bit of consolidation on the lower time frames here, and then probably another try higher over time. So that's essentially what I'm thinking right now. I do want to wish you well on this nice little Wednesday early evening. Have a nice July. Wait, is it July? Yeah, have a nice July in your life, and welcome to fucking August soon enough. So take care and see you soon. And as always, wish you well over here from Chicago, Illinois. Take care, and until next time.